Aquaba to welcome them back home. And that will proceed with the Aquaba ceremony that'll be held in Elmina. And so once we go to Aquaba ceremony in the forecourt of the Elmina Fort and Dungeon, we will march through the principal street to the Ohinfi so that the people can see that their family from the diaspora has returned home.
Wow.
And we can interrelate with one another.
Wow. So after no conversation yeah ka panafest ho asem ene anope na yene Rabbi Cohen and AD Enkomo or director Panafest Foundation and sa afasha kisi yeka obati me no conversation on YouTube shag BGH no okwa eda ho na onso watimi anya bi ahwe na wafulu kakra enso ewo ho enche me call madam speaker ho na onso so age krata na ogia na aye. But Rabbi, are you through with the
No.
Okay, yes.
Because we have a lot. It's a
Of course,
very
yes.
full program
Yes,
here.
yes. So let's focus on what will happen in the central region here for now.
Yes, all right.
Okay.
So now we come to Saturday.
Okay.
And Saturday on the 26th of July is the actual official grand opening with a Durbar of Chiefs at Victoria Park. And we are expecting His Excellency the President to be the special guest of honor during that time. We will have, of course, our representation from the Central Regional House of Chiefs. The Edina Traditional Council will be hosted by the Ogwa Hen and the Ogwa Traditional Council, and of course our array of Asafo companies, and we will have our people able to see a pageantry of royalty, you know, of how we have preserved the culture here. So they can see their culture under Richton on that day. So that's the actual opening ceremony. That evening, we will have evening performance of our artists, and every evening of Panafest for the next 6 evenings, there'll be live performances at the Center for National Culture. That's where the Expo Bazaar will be. That's where all of our performances will be, with the exception of those that I will announce before I finish. So that's on Saturday. On Sunday, we're going to have the African Spirituality and Interfaith Dialogue. You know, it is common that people think that when the white man came, he brought us religion.
Sure.
But we know we have our own understanding of God before he comes.
Excellent.
African spirituality.
Sure.
And we want to have that discussion along with the interfaith discussion, because every time we have our affairs and events, we have the Christian prayer, we have the Muslim prayer. We know we can't leave out our African spirituality. So we want to lift it up in a discussion so people don't have to feel ashamed about our African spirituality. They will feel proud to be able to say that we also are very spiritual people, and we've always known God, and that we should have respect for everybody's, you know, faith, and especially that which was the beginning of in Africa. So that Sunday, we will have that session, and then that evening we will have an evening of spiritual music, led by a number of choirs, choral choirs, and a number of spiritual presentations on that evening, Sunday evening. On Monday, we open up our colloquium at the University of Cape Coast. So for 3 days, from the 28th, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we'll have 3 days of colloquium discussions on our topic. This year, our theme is Let Us Talk About Reparatory Justice and Artistic Activism, Pan-African Artistic Activism. Reparative justice is about...
that is the theme.
That's the theme.
Okay.
So reparative justice is about reparations. We know that plenty of people have benefited off of Africa for the past 500 years. And Africans in Africa have suffered much. So we believe that it's a time to discuss reparations, repairing ourselves. And so that is the theme that we are following. So that will be the theme discussed during the colloquium for 3 days. And what we have on the next big program coming up actually is the Youth Day, the day full of youth activities where we will have our young people able to talk to themselves, talk to the role of young people in the world. They predict that by 2050, African youth will make up more than 50% of the youth of the world. And so it's time that we say, how are we preparing our next generation to be able to take charge of their own future and destiny? And we want young people to be involved in that conversation and that discussion. We also have, after that, Women's Day. And Women's Day will also be able, on the 31st, that Thursday, to talk about women empowerment. The theme is African women leading society on survival to reparative justice. So our African women are very powerful, and we want them to be able to also be recognized and to talk about issues amongst themselves that further that empowerment and capacity. So that's the 31st of July. And also on the 31st of July, Reverential Night. Reverential Night is when we have the candlelight procession beginning at Infante Pim Junction and marching through the commercial street till we get to the Cape Coast Fort Dungeon to the door, and we're met there by the Ogwa Traditional Council, who lead us into the courtyard, first to the male dungeon, then to the courtyard, where we have an all-night program that ends. And when it ends at midnight, it ends with the proclamation of emancipation being read that leads us into Emancipation Day, which is August 1st. So on August 1st, we leave Cape Coast and go to St. Monso to celebrate Emancipation Day.
Wow, it looks it's so packed. I see
Yes.
the program very, very packed. But we are going to do it. But Rabbi, from a certain quarters, I heard that it looks more like the Panafest is losing its value. That is one. And secondly, the people of the central region are not directly associating themselves with Panafest. What could be the problem?
Communication. That's why I'm so happy you have invited us this morning. We have to be able to communicate to the people better so that they understand that this is not a foreign culture, a foreign concept. These are not foreigners. They're not Obrunis. It's family coming home. And we're the same people. And we must find a way to embrace ourselves. So even if our own people on the ground have ideas of how we can enhance this whole idea comes from one of our own here, as I said, Dr. F.O. Sutherland, who is from Ogwa, from Cape Coast, a very prominent scholar, writer, playwright. So it's her idea, it's her concept, meaning it comes from here, it doesn't come from outside. So we have to communicate better to our people to let them understand that this is something that belongs to them and their way of inviting their family back home, so that together we can design a way to see how we better our future, stabilize our future, build upon our economies, build upon our society. But we have to do it in a way that we're communicating to understand each other, that that is the purpose. You know, in the beginning, what people may feel and may not, may misinterpret, that this was a full government initiative. The government put its full weight behind Panafest, finances, everything. But because of so many economic challenges within our government and within their budget, the government had to pull back its resources because it couldn't sustain that level of support. So it almost withdrew everything. So we in the private sector had to come to lift it back up and try to encourage people to invest in it, that this is of value, this has substance. So we have pulled it back up to where it used to be. Fortunately, government also has seen the value in Panafest, because Panafest helped to give birth to the Year of Return. Panafest helped to give birth to Beyond the Return. And Panafest has the substance. It gave birth to that. Panafest helped to give birth to the Joseph Project, for some of those who remember it. So the government now sees that there's value in this product. So we must come back together again, both public and private, and all of the community, to lift it back up, because it has value. But we have to communicate that value and express that it has value so people can see themselves in it. If you don't see yourself in it, you will say, what is this? So we have to explain to people so they can see themselves in it and the benefit of it. And then I think we'll have a better understanding.
Well, our time is almost up, and I'd like to take your last message for the people this morning.
Wow.
Why must I get myself involved with Panafest 2025?
Because I am Panafest. We should all say that. I am Panafest. I am an African, and I can never be as strong African by myself as I can be with the rest of my African family. So that family must be defined in the African sense of extended family, that we are family, and this is our family reunion. So we should all come together and make this family strong. And that is the message that I give to us. I am Panafest. We should make that our chant. I am Panafest. It's not a stranger.
Wow.
I am Panafest.
Robert, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm a Rabbi Kohen. Na ana edino emina no. Ene boye mede mathematics aka Rabbi Kohen Halevi. Aha, director Panafest Foundation. And what is all church mu Panafest no. Here ko here say what say na issue mu na yemana ejina bra no na eye solid na obia so say involved. Na enya hoho na ye we eye say homecoming no. A few for Africans, Yankasa, the history, a memory of American memory culture, a memory, a money, and as I never to run it through. The better copy of the program now, a great plan, a bob or so, a man microphone, so it to me at okay. Into Rabbi, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so
My
much. Right.
pleasure.
Thank you. What like a
Thank you.
Now, I've lost your contact. Now, Rabbi.